Sophie was a woman who loved colour. She loved the golden hues of sunset and the bright splashes of wildflowers. So when the city began to feel grey and dull, Sophie knew it was time for a change. She decided to move to a little cottage nestled at the foot of a beautiful mountain. Her family thought she was being silly. "What about the shops?" they cried, "and the cinema?" But Sophie had made up her mind. Their worries just made her more sure that she was doing the right thing. She packed her bags, her paints and her favourite teapot, and off she went. The cottage was small and cosy, with a wildflower garden and a view of the mountains that took her breath away. It was perfect. Sophie spent her first few days unpacking boxes and chasing away curious field mice. It felt good to be home. Life in the mountains was quiet. Sophie spent her days exploring the hillside paths and learning the secrets of her new home. She learned to bake bread, the scent of yeast and warm flour filling her little kitchen. She learned to tell time by the sun, and she learned the language of the birdsong outside her window. Sometimes she missed the chatter of the city and the familiar faces of her neighbours. But then she would step outside, breathe in the crisp mountain air, and remember why she had come. The mountain became Sophie's companion. She would set off in the morning with her walking stick and a canvas bag, returning with pockets full of smooth pebbles and her cheeks flushed with the mountain air. Each day, she discovered a new path or a hidden clearing. She collected wildflowers, pressing them carefully between the pages of her books. Sophie would sit on her porch swing, watching the sunset paint the mountains in shades of pink and orange. In those moments, she felt a sense of peace she had never known before. One day, Sophie met Hal. He was her neighbour, a gruff old man who lived in a ramshackle cottage hidden amongst apple trees. Hal was famous for his garden, a riot of colour and fragrance that spilled over the stone walls. Their first meeting was less than friendly. Sophie, full of excitement at having a neighbour, offered Hal a slice of her freshly baked bread. He grumbled something about city folk and their fancy ways, but Sophie saw a flicker of curiosity in his eyes. Sophie had always loved to paint. In the city, she had painted scenes from her window. Pigeons on rooftops, children playing in the park. Now, surrounded by the beauty of the mountains, her inspiration bloomed. She painted the wildflowers she collected, each petal perfect on the canvas. She painted the sunbeams filtering through the trees and the babbling brook that ran near her cottage. But something strange happened. As Sophie painted, her canvases began to shimmer. The colours swirled, and for a moment, the world around her seemed to melt into the painting. When she stepped back, she gasped. The wildflowers she had painted were no longer just paint on canvas. They were real, swaying gently as if touched by a breeze. Word of Sophie's magical paintings spread through the village like wildfire. People came from miles around, eager to see the woman who could bring colour to life. They marvelled at the lifelike paintings in her cottage. A bowl of ripe apples that smelled of autumn sunshine. A mischievous squirrel whose tail twitched as if about to leap from the frame. Sophie, overwhelmed by the attention, retreated to her garden. The quiet life she had built was being disrupted. The villagers, though well-meaning, were a lot to handle. She missed the peaceful rhythm of her days, the quiet joy of her solitary walks. At first, Sophie had enjoyed sharing her gift. She had painted playful puppies for the children and a field of sunflowers that brought sunshine to a gloomy corner of the village. But as the demands grew, so did a sense of unease within her. People began to see her as a magician, not an artist. They brought her lists of things they wanted her to paint, forgetting that true art came from the heart, not from a sense of obligation. Sophie found herself longing for the days when her biggest worry was a burnt loaf of bread or a grumpy remark from Hal. She missed the simplicity of her life, the joy she found in the everyday beauty of her surroundings. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, Hal appeared at Sophie's door. He was holding a small clay pot filled with the most vibrant bluebells Sophie had ever seen. "These are for you," he mumbled, avoiding her eyes. "You seemed a bit down lately." Touched by his unexpected gesture, Sophie invited him in. They drank tea and talked about the mountains, the changing seasons, the simple things that brought them joy. Hal admitted that he missed seeing her paintings around the village, but not as much as he missed their quiet chats over the garden fence. From that day forward, things changed. Sophie continued to paint, but only when inspiration struck her, only when her heart was truly in it. She started teaching the village children how to find beauty in the everyday, the way sunlight danced on a spiderweb, the intricate patterns of a fallen leaf. She and Hal became the unlikeliest of friends, their shared love for the mountain and its quiet magic forming a bond stronger than any spell. Sophie realized that while her paintings might have been magical, the true magic lay in the life she had built, a life filled with color, friendship, and the quiet joy of simple living.